In these next series of videos, I want to talk to you about the disappearance of the lady seen here. That is Amelia Earhart. Now, for many generations, we all know about her disappearance. We don't really know what happened to her. We know that probably she was in a plane crash. That is assumption that a lot of scenarios seem to think happened. But during this course of video, I'm going to basically go through a few scenarios, basically take you through the last part of her trip in 1937. Now, there has been an update to a search where they found an image of on an island called Nicomararo. Now, there is a expedition planned. It was supposed to be the end of this year, but they rescheduled it for 2026. The University of Purdue is basically going to go out to Nicomararo, where this image has been shown. And they're going to go test to see if that is actually the airplane of Amelia Earhart. But throughout this video, you're going to see me, and you're going to see some clips with an emoji talking about, I'm going to let that emoji basically give you a lot of the facts on the videos, and then I'll do the middle cut parts. Like for one scenario, we're going to talk about, this is the image of what they found on Google Maps, Google Earth. They're saying that this has been an object that has been there since at least 2020. Does it look like a metal object? Does it look like an object? And if this is the actual airplane, how did they not see this before? Because there were actually expeditions to the Nicomararo site. Now, if you look at it, I can't really tell from just looking at it, but the shoreline of Nicomararo is not that far from this actual airplane or whatever it is in the water. Now, could this actually be a tree? I don't think it could be, because it would not. I don't think a tree would look like that. Also, this is a closer look image of what it is we're going to be looking at in these videos. I find that it could be, you got to remember, if she did actually, get out of the airplane or survive the airplane crash, and let's say this is an airplane, she didn't have really far to go to get to the shoreline of Nicomararo. Now, Nicomararo had not been inhabited since the 1800s, so it wasn't very human friendly. So one of the scenarios is, let's say her and her navigator did actually survive the crash and landed on Nicomararo. They really did not have any hope of getting rescued off of that island. Now, because one of the scenarios is, and this is actually true, they did find bones of a dead body on this island. But who's to say that would be actually her or her navigator, Fred Noonan? So that's one of the scenarios we're going to talk about as this video series goes on. We're going to have to be talking about how, one of her last radio responses was saying that she was basically almost out of fuel. Now, could one of the scenarios be the reason why they never saw this image or didn't see this image till recently, that it was buried underneath a lot of sediment? Now, one of the scenarios also is that they had quite a bit of typhoons. And you got to remember, this is in the Pacific, so they don't have hurricanes, they have typhoons or a tropical storm that basically, passed on Nicomararo so many times that if this was actually buried into the actual ground, did over a span of, you got to remember, this is 1937. So you got to remember, could this actually have been so impacted into the ground that that's why people did not see it? And could it be that a tropical storm or a hurricane or a typhoon or whatever you want to call it caused so much erosion that you actually start to see the airplane now? Now, somebody will ask me, do I think that this is an airplane? Well, take a close look at the image that you see here. There's something about it that makes me think that this is not natural a natural anomaly. I don't think this is a tree. I don't think this is, a part of the island, to be honest with you. There's something in between the left part that is sticking out. Well, you may say, well, okay, why does one side of the plane look different? Let's say it is a plane. Why is one part of the plane higher up than the other? Well, if she actually was running out of fuel and she actually hit the ground, her plane's not going to be in pristine condition. So an anomaly along that line or along those lines is not really such a far-fetched idea. Let's say she crashed, causing one of the plane's wings to fly off, and maybe that's what happened. She did manage to maybe she survived, or maybe they didn't survive. Another scenario is that they didn't survive, that they're basically, where the airplane hit is basically where they are today. Now, is that possible? Would you find anything that would prove that? Well, the plane you would find maybe not intact, but and there's also something like right above. Let's say this is a part of the airplane. There's a big black anomaly looking rock looking formation. Could that have been skid marks from when they hit the ground? It's possible. Now take on the left image here. This is a actual image of what her airplane would have looked like. Okay. So you take that image and you put it basically over it. Does that actually basically tell you that, this is an airplane? Could it be an airplane? Could it actually be what they think it is? And my scenario is, and like I said, I'm going to go through some more of these. It does look like it could link up. It does look like if you put the white imagery of the Electra that Amelia Earhart was actually in, and you put it over the anomaly here, yeah, you can actually make the case that could actually be an airplane. Is it an airplane? I don't know. But we'll go through that through the film series. Finally, we're going to be talking about the flight plan from Papua New Guinea, where she actually is known to have been her last takeoff point. Now, she was trying to get to House Island, which is actually one of the squares right there. She was only supposed to land there, get fueled up again, because the island is not very big. It is not very big. Now, did she have enough gas to get to House Island? I'm pretty sure she did. But there's also some imagery that basically a boat was in between House Island and Papua New Guinea to help her basically navigate to House Island. What gets me is maybe the problem is while the Nikomararo theory makes a lot of sense, if that's the case, her navigator or somebody was giving her bad information. Because how could you go from House Island to Nikomararo? Yeah, there's a big gap in between there. Now, my scenario with that is, and I'll say at the end of the video, what I personally think happened. Amelia Earhart, look at House Island and the distance between House Island and Nikomararo. You tell me if that's actually a distance that you can actually make a mistake and not hit either island.